Welcome to Strengthening Your Voice for Non-Singers. My name is Kate Hart, and I'm going to take you through a series of exercises, assuming that you know nothing about the voice. The first thing that we're going to do is connect you with your core voice. The simplest way to do this is to sing Happy Birthday. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Okay, so that sounded pretty good. But now let's get you into what we call the core voice, the bigger voice, the voice with all of the sound, the resonance. So I want you to scream, I really love to sing, as loud as you can, and then go straight into happy birthday. Now, the most important thing is to not have any downtime between when you yell, I really love to sing, and singing happy birthday. We don't want you to go into your head and think about it. Just want you to go into the body and do it. So here we go. I really love to sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You can see there's a big difference. So do I go around screaming and yelling all the time? No. But what I find is that there's a bigger voice available to me than I first thought. So that's a good place to start for connecting to the core voice. Go ahead and give that a try. See how that feels. Remember, you don't want anything to hurt. You just want it to be almost like loud talking. Now that you're connected to your core voice, or you're in a larger voice than you're used to, let's talk about placement. Where is it supposed to live in the body? Well, that would be the mask. And the mask is across the cheeks and the bridge of the nose. You want your sound to vibrate. A great way of going there without thinking about it too much is by bright humming, which I highly recommend before you use your voice, whether it be for speaking or toning or singing. You really do want to get your voice in the right place. So when you get up in the morning, hum. And if you do that throughout the day, it serves many purposes. One of which is, well, it's in the right place, which is where you want the voice, because you never want it in your throat. If it's in your throat, then you're going to have a limited sound and you will do damage to the vocal folds. But you also get resonance, brightness, and real sound. When you hum, you're actually strengthening your vocal folds. You're shaking off the mucus. Through the vibration of humming, the vocal folds are moving back and forth and strengthening. So it's a wonderful way to improve the voice and where the voice is supposed to be. The next thing that you want to pay attention to is to really move your mouth. We tend to be very mumbly when we speak, but if we move our lips and our tongue when we speak and hit our consonants, then once again, the voice will move forward out of the throat and into the mask. You can practice this by singing, toning, or reading out loud. And you want to make sure when you're practicing to do it slowly and be very specific about hitting all your D's and T's and N's and INGs. Then when you go to use your voice, you will have a physical memory of how you're supposed to move your mouth so that you don't have to think about it anymore. Now, let's talk about breathing. The easiest way to describe breathing is just to let your stomach go. Put your hands on your stomach. Let your stomach just hang out. Be comfortable. Because remember, The bottom of the lungs sits on top of your diaphragm. So if your diaphragm is out, then half of your lungs are filled up with air. When you speak or sing or tone, you want to make sure that the diaphragm stays out and never collapses. A great way to practice this is by counting out loud. So you breathe through your mouth, never your nose. It takes too long for the air to travel through the nasal passage, and your mouth is open anyways because you're talking or singing or toning. You take a breath, diaphragm is out, hands on stomach so you can feel if your stomach is collapsing or not, and you're going to count to 5. So breathe from the bottom of your lungs and count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The diaphragm should still be out. Now take a breath to replace the air that you've used and count to 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't let that diaphragm collapse. Just keep it out. Let's go up to 10. Take a breath from the bottom of the lungs, not the upper chest, down from the bottom of your lungs. And breathe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's do it again. I haven't let my diaphragm collapse. It's still out. My hands are on my stomach to judge that. And I'm going to take another breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once you get to 10 comfortably, then go to 15. Take a breath from the bottom of the lungs, count to 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. At no time should that diaphragm deflate. You can practice that while driving in the car. You can lay on the floor and put books on your stomach and do it that way and watch the books, not let the books come down. You never want to wait too long to take a breath. You don't want to get in a position where you're almost out of breath and then you feel like you have to take a really quick gasp. You want to have a really nice, easy way of breathing. We should never hear you breathe or see you breathe. All of that activity should be going on down in the diaphragm. Now let's talk about strengthening the voice. We're now just going to do some real simple scales. The first one is a who. I'm going to ask you to be in your head voice. Now, for men, that may be more difficult, but let's start with the women first. A great way to get to head voice, if you don't know what that is or what I'm talking about, that's really your falsetto. So that's whoo. It's a cooing, like coo, coo. So that's a great way to get there if you've never done this before. So women, or anybody with a high voice, might be men, but usually this is a range for a female voice. We're just going to do a soft, open, light who. And your objective is just to stay in that light, pretty, soft head voice. So here we go. Again, your objective is to not flip over into the bigger part of your voice, which would be whoo. You want to keep it light. Whoo. And you'll see why in just a minute. Now, let's go to where usually the male voice lives. And remember, do a coo to get you where you need to be. Coo, 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 coo. Ooh, ooh. We're going to look at the chest register. This time, you want to stay in a chesty voice. So how do we get there? By keeping the back of the tongue down and saying ah. This is difficult, so it takes some practice. The best way to have the back of the tongue release so that it is down when you sing ah is by saying it first. So, for example, ah. Ah. Now, if you were moving the tongue back and forth, it would sound like this. Ah. We don't want that. We want to keep the voice in a chest register, and that only happens if we keep the back of the tongue down. So let's give it a try. Say ah, ah. 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 Great, and you can keep going. Let's move on down the keyboard so we can address the male voice. Ah. 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 So why are we doing this? Well, by crossing the registers, the head register and the chest register, and being true to the registers, we are strengthening the mixed register, which is the voice that we use in contemporary music or for toning or for speaking. So it's that voice that is a little more forward, a little brighter, and really has just a bigger sound. Because everybody has a natural break in their voice, which is called a passaggio. For women, it's usually a F or G above middle C there. For men, it can be middle C or the F and G below middle C. That's where your voice breaks. Most people, even singers, find it to be troublesome to sing through it. So they'll get this kind of drop off in strength where you'll hear, ah. Well, if you cross-train the voice, then what you get is a strong mixed register, and you are able to, if you choose to do so, sing through that passaggio without a huge drop-off in sound quality. So you get something more like this. Ah! So it's much stronger and applicable to how you're using your voice. Solely using head register or chest register is really more for a classical approach to singing, even though you may use elements of that in whatever you're doing. When you're strictly working on head and chest, that's really for classical operatic types of singing. All right, so don't worry about if you're hitting the right notes or not. That's really not important. What's important is that you're moving through this in a non-invasive way and just strengthening the voice. You don't have to be on pitch. Don't worry about any of that. All right, so let's do a couple of things. Use this recording to strengthen your voice. So now we're going to do an NG in the back of the throat. And this is going to stretch the vocal folds. It really feels good. So we're going to do a slide. We're going to start with the female voice. And it's like a NG. If that's difficult, then start with the word ming. So go ming. And you can go ming. But it's the NG. You want to ride that sound. Allow the voice to flip when it wants to. And a flip is Allow that flip to happen because it will strengthen the vocal folds. You don't have to do that when you're singing if you don't want to, or when you're speaking, or when you're toning. But when you're strengthening the vocal folds, allow those vocal folds to do what it is they want to do. Never push them into something that they don't want to do. So, continuing. Pull your volume back on the top note. Coming back down. Let's go to the male register. let's use that same arpeggio or notes to do a may, a sliding may. And this shows the voice where to go in a relaxed way. You want to make this as silky smooth as you can. So here we go. May. May. It's allowing the voice to move the way it wants to. May. For the male register. May, may. Whenever you're doing any of these warm-ups, do not go beyond what feels comfortable. Our goal is to strengthen the voice in a very systematic and non-invasive way. So if you feel any strain at all, stop immediately. That means that you're doing something wrong. Now let's talk about a couple of other things that you can do to really help loosen up the voice, the whole vocal mechanism. And one of these things is to pull your tongue. There's more tension on the back of the tongue than anywhere else in the body, and it's an almost impossible place to get to. So grab a Kleenex or a towel or whatever you're comfortable with and grab the tip of the tongue with both your hands and pull your tongue up, down, and to each side. It's probably going to hurt because you're literally pulling off the tension. You're going to feel a huge difference. It's going to feel much more open and relaxed. This is great if you teach all day, or if you're talking all day, if the voice feels fatigued. By pulling your tongue, you can get a lot of relief. When you're done doing that, another thing that you may want to try is sticking your tongue all the way out and laying it flat on your chin and just going, ah. And again, ah. And one more time, ah. And the last but not least is to flutter your lips. So, some people can't flutter their lips, so if you can't, then just wag your tongue, making sound while you do it. So let's review. First, you want to connect to core voice. Secondly, you want to find mask placement by humming. Then, pull your tongue. Then, stick your tongue all the way out and say ah. Next, practice your breathing. Keep your diaphragm out and count. And you should do this until you can get up to 30. Remember, diction is very important, so you're going to have to really move your mouth. You can do this all day long as you have conversations. Move your mouth. And finally, flutter your lips. This is just the beginning for you to understand a little bit about how the voice works and how you can utilize